Welcome to the reality check. August 14th, 2018. So tonight on the reality check, we're going to have to go through Strzok's money, Omarosa's trash for cash. Seems like everything's about the money. And then, of course, random thoughts, bad jokes, headlines. First, I wanted to change direction of what I had pre-planned. I just wanted to say, I don't know if it's Instagram or one of those sites where they have pictures. That narrows down. But one of those sites where they have the pictures and whatever stuff's going on your head or there's a butterfly or whatever nonsense. And it always fixes your face to look better. That's what I need, a camera. Take out all the blemishes and make me look easier on the eyes, I would say. Now I know I probably offended somebody by saying that, but speaking of offensive talk, so we hear the constant media with the Trump, the press is the enemy of the people. Now let's just say Trump did not say the press is the enemy of the people. What he said is fake news media is the enemy of the people. And fake news is the enemy of the people. Now what's fake news to you might be different to other people, but it is the enemy of the people. The news was supposed to be that extra column, the integrity, right? That's what the news was supposed to be. But, unfortunately, most of the time, it is not. So, news outlets that put out the fake news and the lies, indeed, are the enemy of the people. Now, people are always saying, Trump thinks tariffs are good, and we don't like the tariffs, and businesses, of course, a business doesn't like if they're going to be tariffed from another country, but they already are being tariffed from other countries. Yeah, maybe your business is new to the punishment. General businesses and people that do business with other countries are subject to tariff all the time. Heck, you could sell something to somebody in Australia right now just as a civilian and then be taxed 10% on it. In other countries, it's 33% on it. So it's a lie. Trump doesn't say that tariffs are good. He says that he wants free trade. And the press says no tariffs. But we're using the tariffs to get the level playing field. You know that liberal talking point? Level playing field. That's what they say, the liberal phrase, the level playing field. Well, Trump's trying to level the playing field and make sure our companies who work hard in America have the equal opportunity to export as these other countries have the opportunity to import. So remember, we're the world's piggy bank and we're the ones getting robbed. If the other countries end their unfair trade practices by tariffing goods made in America 30 or 40% because they want some of the times they just want to make free money off of our goods when they don't have them, but other times it's because they want their country to buy within. Makes sense. But if they're going to punish us for that, then why shouldn't we punish them for the same? We would like our people to buy within, so we're going to let cheaper product come in here, and so people aren't buying from American companies because they can't compete. They can't compete with the wages of other countries. So, obviously, it's fair. It's fair. Now, so again, once they stop their unfair practices, we'll stop our practices. Now, Trump doesn't say that immigrants are bad, but he says illegal immigration is bad, and it is bad for the country. Just like your house, you don't let any Tom, Dick, or Harry in your house. You want to know who they are. You don't have strangers coming over your house. You want to know who they are, and that's what we want in this country. We want to know who's coming in. Are they here for American values? Or are they here because they're a gangbanger? Are they here because they're escaping crime they committed? We don't know. But no other country would let people in that are escaping a crime or going to be against the country. It makes no sense. Anyway, the big news, well, there's two huge news stories. One that happened a few days back was Strzok. Peter Strzok fired. Now this dude's collecting on the GoFundMe. And people are, liberals. We'll use the people term loosely. They're upset that he was fired, saying I've seen things like he's a great American, they're donating to his fund. Now, even if you ignore this guy's text, even if you ignore the fact that this guy was cheating on his wife and texting so much with this girl on company time, which would be on America's time, because he worked for America. But even if you ignore all that, the corruption is there. I mean, here's a guy who changed the talking points when Hillary Clinton was pretty much going to be arrested. He was the one who went in there and got with Comey and said, let's reword this, let's change this. Amongst other things they changed. That in itself is criminal. And people, their excuse is, oh, well, if he was so against Trump, he would have told everyone about the investigation. You know, they didn't tell anybody about the investigation because they didn't want them to know. It's a surprise attack. And they were recording stuff in Trump Towers. They were spying on Carter Page. They were spying on a bunch of people and trying to find out something to validate their investigation. Where normally you have evidence, and then by getting your warrants and stuff, you validate your evidence. They had no evidence of anything or no real, so they were hoping to go the other way around and already be spying, get the evidence, and say, oh, here's what we found. So they found nothing. So then eventually let out about the investigation because they found nothing, and now they want to damage Trump. They wanted to damage his numbers and make him irrelevant. They've slowed down the agenda a lot. They wanted to damage it. So even if you take away this guy's text, don't even worry about what that said, what that meant, even though that is damaging enough, there's still more corruption there. And then when they're like, well, it was only recommended that he be suspended. Recommended by whom? Look it up, and you will see that the person that recommended that Strzok only be suspended is a friend of none other than, I know, shocking, there are going to be ties here, hold your caps, Robert Mueller. I know. It is just, I mean, just a cesspool of germs, if we put it nicely. So now back to the GoFundMe. Peter Strzok, it's probably over $300,000 this guy's got. So you're giving some guy who's rich money for his defense so he could sue the American public, because that's pretty much what he's going to do, and cost us more taxpayer money? Yeah, that makes about as much sense. Hey, here's some money so you can sue me. So anyway, regardless of that, let's say you think he was wrong, which anybody who can see or can't see, even somebody who could hear, knows that's wrong. But Peter Strzok was stunned and humbled for the support, and he thanked people for taking the time to fight for our country and our shared American ideals. Now, cheating on my wife and letting criminals, Hillary Clinton, go free, plus lying, and, amongst other things, acting really snotty when he was questioned about it, like he shouldn't be questioned. Which he should have been happy to be questioned, because, like he said, it was so he could tell a story, but he was snotty during the questioning. Those are not American ideals. I'm sorry. They're not American ideals. I don't know who you're talking to, who you think believes that, but they are not any ideals of any American I know. So for this guy to stand on this, I mean, and I guess he can stand on this soapbox, because many people have put him up there with the fact of donating to him and pretty much in their eyes vindicating him. And yes, they might not be the majority of the people, but the fact that people, you know. So now, people always ask why Strzok wasn't fired before. I think there's a lot of factors in it. Obviously, they want to make sure their case is good. Obviously, like the reasons why Sessions isn't fired and Mueller isn't fired, you don't want to seem like there's any impropriety. But they also basically put him on his own island here. And now he had to think about what Lisa Page was going to say. He had to make his thing to kind of, instead of being humble and saying, this is my chance to tell my story, maybe what I said was unprofessional, and what he didn't. He just went on about this and what it means and blah, blah, even though he said that and it had no effect. I mean, it's amazing how these guys can compartmentalize so great. They had no effect. And even that ridiculous Horowitz IG report, which, well, I couldn't find the evidence that he did this, but it's clear as day. I mean, it's embarrassing. It's like none of these people are bold enough to say what really happened. But they're putting this guy out there by himself. He didn't know what Lisa Page was going to say. And then they isolated him. And now he's gone. And now next, Bruce Orr is going to come next. Now it's going to be his turn. And the way that Strzok acted and the lack of real information to the questions means now he can come back as an ex-FBI employee. And that was half of an excuse. On counsel from FBI, I was told not to say, well, now you don't have to worry about that, Strzok. Now you can really tell us the truth about what happened. These guys basically, they know what they did. They used unverified stuff paid for by an opposing campaign to get warrants to spy on Trump's campaign. So not only were they spying to find a crime because they had no crime, but they also probably got information that went to Hillary Clinton, I'm sure, about Trump's campaign. And still, after Trump won, spied the transition team. Have your little insurance policy to find something maybe after the fact and get rid of them and damage it. And then, no, that was working. So then they had General Flynn. Even though they were told he didn't lie, we'll just say he lied. The old, I can indict a ham sandwich if I want to. Because that's what I want to do, because I have power. I have absolute power. And it corrupts, absolutely. So that's what you had there. Now, you look at the investigation you have. Strzok, McCabe, Comey, all done. I mean, it just shows you. 3 people. Have you ever seen 3 people pretty much in the same investigation? And you have Rosenstein, who, what's funny, opened up the Mueller investigation based on collusion it was. And the collusion would be firing Comey, yet Rosenstein was the one who recommended, rightfully so, he actually did his job for once, that Comey be fired. So that's like your security guard telling you they saw somebody steal something. You say, yes, let's arrest that person. They get arrested, and then the security guard says, we're going to have to investigate you for arresting that person. Does that make any sense? Doesn't to anybody who's paying attention, I tell you that much. Now, to a lighter, I don't know if it's a lighter story, it's pretty heavy stuff on this one, but not a big story of the day, because I'll save the next big story for a few more minutes. I know, enticing and teasing, but what I'll say is this. There was 45 years ago, there was an alien abduction. Yes, we're going to talk about aliens. A UFO encounter. So it was Calvin Parker, now of Moss Point. Him and his friend Charles Hickinson claimed they were abducted by aliens when they were fishing at the Pascagoula River. So Parker finally wrote a book, and you think, obviously it wasn't like a crazy money grab. I mean, 45 years later. So it's basically, it was a clear night out, October 11th, 1973, when I was a baby myself. These guys got off work, and they went fishing, an old abandoned shipyard, a little pier out in front. And it's about 6 o'clock in the evening, starting to get dark, but still a bright moon. And they saw some blue light reflecting off the water, and they thought it was actually the police to tell them they had to leave the property. And then Parker looked up and he realized the light was coming from a craft. Nothing that they'd never seen before. Big light came out of the clouds. It was blinking. It was hard to tell what it was because the light was so bright, but it looked like a football, he'd say, about 80 feet, and made a little sound, maybe a little hissing noise. And they were saying how surreal it became that 3 legless creatures floated from the craft. One had no neck with gray wrinkled skin. Sounds like some politicians we know. Another had a neck and appeared more feminine. And he described that their hands were being shaped like mittens or crab claws. Maybe it was Mr. Krabs. Sorry to make light of this, because I do believe there's a possibility of aliens or, unidentified. So, but anyway, this whole story I was just reading is pretty interesting. The guy came out with the book 45 years later. He'd never talked about it before. So good for him, But interesting that it's funny when you read it, it reminds me of a pretty good TV show, The 4400. I don't know if anybody ever seen that, but yeah, it was a good show. If you ever get a chance, you can watch. I think it's on Netflix. Not that I want to plug them, but, it's a good show. So now, of course, our next big story, right? How could we say anything else but the famous word of Omarosa? Omarosa, 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 Omarosa. Now, the trash for cash. She's got a book, and of course she's profiting. All these bad things were done, and she's trying to save America. She couldn't save America before. It's when her book's coming out. She's going to save America. It kind of sounds like somebody else would know. But, so Omarosa heard that she heard from somebody else, even though she heard it in person, that they were talking about what if there was a tape, and yet, even in the conversation, talking about this tape that might or might not exist of the conversation, even then, Trump still said he never used the N-word. But she was there and she heard it, even though it was a tape of other people talking about how a tape might happen or a what if situation. That's the big bombshell. Seriously, folks? Sorry. And then all this other stuff. She's got tapes to back it up. I mean, all we have is an illegal recording, and that's fine. We're not scared over here. What Kelly said to her is like anything else, If somebody's not doing their job, creating a problem, creating a disturbance, and you do know Bill and Hillary Clinton fired her for creating a disturbance. Oh, you didn't know that, huh? Yeah. I know. Well, now you know. So, anyways, Omarosa, if you're letting go an employee at a high-level position like that, and they offered her another job, so obviously they're not too racist, because they did offer her another job. I'll take that job. I'd take $180K a year to just not work for the White House, because I already not work for the White House, and I don't get paid for that. So, not a bad deal, especially coming from racists, right? But, all Kelly said was, we want you to leave here on friendly terms. Obviously, when you know somebody's going to be upset and they had a history of, pretty poor behavior, hey, you try to mitigate the damages. Not a problem. Now, you have to ask yourself, how does a racist hire a black lady who was fired from multiple jobs and unqualified? You can say that Trump is loyal to a point of stupidity. That, I can't argue with you much on this case. But you can obviously see he is no racist. And it makes no sense. She got fired for her incompetence, and I'm sure they'll eventually trash her to the fullest and say what she did. We know the rumors. But it's not the first job. It's not the second, third, fourth, or eighth job she's got fired from. And I'm not even counting The Apprentice. That was just a TV show. But I'm just saying in general. Now, yeah, Trump hired her with a poor track record because he's loyal, because she, was for him. And maybe it's because she was mad at Hillary and Bill because she got fired from them. But either way, he was loyal to her, past the point of any reason, gave her a good position, still even offered her position even after she messed up in her position. But somehow he's racist. When Frank Luntz agrees with Trump, you're beat. But people are outraged now. The new outrage is that he called her a dog. I wouldn't use the term in that sense of I'm Trump, because you want to be a little bit better than seeing presidential. But it is true. When you bite the hand that feeds you multiple times, it's just the dog. That's the expression. That's the term. So now it's sexist, it's racist. I mean, it can't be both. It would have to be one or the other. If he's racist, then it's not sexist. He's just saying it at a rate. I mean, how is it everything? I mean, it's amazing. Now, the Omarosa unhinged. I think this is going to be her future. She wants to make the big money. We know how this pays off because all this is pretty much exposed. It is what it is. But Omarosa unhinged, going on tour with Stormy Daniels. The O Storm Tour. That's where the money will be. Not saying she has to be like Stormy, but I'm just saying they can do their talk show circuit together and compare stories, right? Sure. Now, you always hear about, I would say, let me regroup on this matter. People talk still about how Trump lost the popular vote, and he only won by the Electoral College. And you say, don't liberals like colleges? Yeah, they only like the colleges they can control, let me tell you. Now, the other little stories on the news is there's talk about Trump posed for a picture, yes, with a biker who had guns and titties patch on his vest. Now, one, is he supposed to search what the guy wears? Or, yeah, there's like hundreds of people coming up talking to him, and I'm sure he might not have been aware, or maybe he was aware. I mean, personally, who cares? But it's funny how they're offended by the guns and titties patch on the vest. But yet, a few weeks ago, the porn star was a hero, and she even got a key to West Hollywood. Does it make sense? I don't know. Now, we had Antifa in the news, right? So, when is Chuck Schumer going to denounce Antifa? We're waiting. He's silent as a bird now. Elizabeth Warren? Well, she's busy bashing cops. Kamala Harris? Well, we can't talk about what Kamala's busy doing. We know about her and Jerry Brown. She likes to go on dates with married men. Wow. Her and Lisa Page got something in common. Oh, no, wait. Lisa Page was just a dirty secret. Kamala was actually going out in public on dates with a married man. But when is Kamala, when she's done with those dates with the married man, going to denounce Antifa? How about Kirsten Gillibrand? Is she going to denounce Antifa? Nancy Pelosi? We're waiting on her. With her, maybe she forgot about Antifa. That I can believe, because she doesn't remember much today. It's, yeah, crazy. So, the nasty girl, right? The nasty girl from Hurricane Maria, which devastated Puerto Rico. The San Juan mayor. The donations that were sent to Puerto Rico, all we heard about was they need this, they need that. And they left them to rot in a parking lot in a government facility. Another 10 containers filled with supplies sat at a government facility for 11 months. So all we hear about is people are dying, and I know where was problems there. Absolutely. But here it is, you're doing TV, you got TV, you're on TV, you're all about the TV, and yet you have these donations there. People gave money. People were there to help. And what happened? Well, the stuff's just sitting there. And you're complaining about not getting stuff, or what can America do for you? Well, we did plenty. We sent help. We sent money. We sent supplies. What did you do? You went on TV. You spent money. Did you attend the FEMA meetings? No. Did you hand out the supplies? No. Even another mayor called you a phony. Even Geraldo Rivera called you a phony. Take it for what it's worth, but you're a phony. Sorry. Supplies were there. And your 20 minutes of fame, my friend, is over. And hopefully you can be investigated and go to sleep. That's what you deserve, right? So we had today another big story in the news. More than 300 accused priests listed in the Pennsylvania report on Catholic Church sex abuse. Now they're trying to have a grand jury change. They want to make sure that these people can still be charged, that there's no statute of limitations. And I absolutely agree. Now, obviously, as time goes on, again, it's harder to prove. But I think if you can, whatever, if there's a way you can prove it, evidence, whatever, however, witnesses, corroboration, some physical evidence somehow, if you had some, hey, you should be able to prosecute. You committed the crime, you should do the time. You shouldn't be able to avoid it because the time clock runs out. The only time clock that ever runs out is your life. Now, it's really disgusting, and I think any of the people that help any of the other priests or cardinals, whatever they are up the chain, and help hide these people, transferred them away knowingly to avoid prosecution or outrage, whatnot, they should also be charged as accessories. Nobody should be free of this disgusting behavior. Nobody. At all. I guess this wasn't properly organized, because the next subject that I really want to talk about is the casting couch. I know, shocking. We all know about the casting couch, right? It's basically directors or producers or the photographer, and you bring some girl in, and obviously it's a pay for play, just like you see on the political level, and this is on the sexual level, and we all know what that is. Now, obviously no woman should be forced to do anything, no woman should be attacked, absolutely, but you can't say that you did something in exchange for a part, you got your part, and you went back and did it again maybe, or you held a relationship with somebody, or you used it to get ahead knowingly, and it is what it is. You can't say it's rape when you got paid for it. Sorry. If you were attacked, you wouldn't deal with that vermin again. Would you go to work if somebody raped? I can imagine. And I know maybe there's an embarrassment, you don't want to say anything, well, that's fine, but you wouldn't keep on putting yourself in that same situation. It just doesn't make sense. And for these people who benefited from that, you traded your pay for play. You can't come back now and say, you're offended now. You see it all the time. All these people that they're so offended by one thing or another. They weren't marching in the streets when Harvey Weinstein, right? They weren't marching in the streets. They didn't have the pink hats. They weren't calling on the industry to clean up the rapists and perverts who were in their industry that they talk about so much. But yeah, Trump should be impeached for using words. But now here you have people that have done stuff, violated people, if you say so, and now nothing. All we're doing is trying to hide it. It's okay. Oh, Roman Polanski's a good director. Who cares if he drugs some girl? Or, it's not rape, it's just rape, as somebody said. Bullshit. Now, next story should be a big story. Should be a huge story. All right? Keith Ellison, friend to terrorists, friend to the Muslim Brotherhood, friend to Mr. Farrakhan there. Now he's been accused by 2 women of being abusive. There was a report filed on him about him being abusive. I didn't even see it once in the news tonight. Not even on Fox News. He's denying the allegations, of course, and he has every right to. I mean, he's innocent until proven guilty, right? Or not right. Because remember, Roy Moore was accused, and somebody had an unverified signature in a yearbook, and this was embellished, and that was embellished. But we should believe the allegations until they're proven not true. And even then, it might still be true, so we should believe it. But we have a report and text messages here about Mr. Keith Ellison. Now all of a sudden, all women shouldn't be believed. Yeah, I don't really know. All I know is common sense. And this ain't adding up there. Now we had annoying news. So we had the New Mexican compound where they're teaching kids to shoot, attack America. Everybody knows what's going on. Dead child found there. And the judge denied a motion to detain 5 of these terrorists. They were sent out on $20,000 bail. So they're free to roam. Oh, they're not free. They have ankle bracelets and light. Please. They're free to roam. We have Paul Manafort, who sounds like a moron more than a criminal, locked down in confinement, and yet these terrorists are allowed to roam the streets. Something's not right with the justice system there. Speaking of double standards and double justice, funny, good old mayor, or comrade, as some people like to call him, de Blasio, right? A big believer in free press. His 2 bodyguards, though, I guess must not be on the same page, because they physically removed a credentialed Post reporter who had the audacity to ask him a question. So what happened was at the annual Dominican Day Parade in Manhattan, a reporter asked de Blasio about a front page story that his administration is meeting with many lobbyists. Which is funny because he had just said, de Blasio, Mr. Comrade de Blasio, I believe in a free, strong media with diverse views, and I'll defend it with all I've got. But then hours later, when a reporter asked him about the story that said, City for Sale, him meeting with all these lobbyists, instead of just saying, I'm not going to answer that or ask me another time, he stood there and watched as a security detail approached the reporter who had a press pass, grabbed his shoulder, and led him away. They told him he had to leave and he couldn't be there. Then the reporter was basically walked about a half a block away. And of course, they gave him a good talking to. So they've declined before, of course, de Blasio and his people, to discuss the records that show they had 136 meetings with lobbyists during the past 3 months. That's over a meeting a day with lobbyists. Kind of like, you heard that from Obama. I'm transparent and I don't meet with lobbyists. It's kind of reminds you of when the White House barred CNN reporter from the Rose Garden frame, shouting inappropriate questions at President Trump in the Oval Office. But there was a difference. They were yelling over people and asked to leave at the time because Trump was done. Here it was de Blasio in the open who says we're defending that same press. Days later, watches him get kicked out for a simple softball question that he could answer, especially being as smart as Comrade de Blasio is. Or maybe he's not that smart. I'd say he's just not that smart. Now here's one in the no shock category for me. E-cigarettes are more harmful than first feared, experts warn. Vaping is more harmful than previously thought. Yeah, duh. Researchers found that e-cigs boost the production of inflammatory chemicals in the body, and the vapor kills protective cells in the lungs that keep the air spaces clear of harmful bugs. Hey, maybe all the stuff you're inhaling might kill the bugs. I mean, these are like the people that actually sued cigarette companies back in the day. What do you mean putting something lit in my mouth was going to get me sick? They didn't tell me that. How was I supposed to know? What do you mean this firecracker, when I light it up, it could blow off my fingers? Nobody told me that. I didn't know. And I guess thank goodness for these vape companies that they don't need an IQ test to use their product, because they probably wouldn't have much people buying it. Sorry. Nothing shocking there. And hey, I'm not going to say bad any of this stuff. To each his own. You know what you're getting into. And if you don't, I don't know who's going to help you in life. But obviously we know how bad it is. Doesn't even talk about the fact of the study that not only all the stuff they mentioned, but you got to know that it's one thing, a cigarette, you smoke it, it's gone. If you're using the same thing and a filter's broke or it's malfunctioning somehow, you don't know. You just keep on using it, thereby infecting yourself more. Oh, wow. That's kind of strange. Common sense is common sense. So, not a shock. Now, Devin Nunes was saying the other day that the Clinton campaign colluded with nearly every top official at the DOJ and the FBI. Which, yes. I mean, they had their tentacles everywhere. They always have. But he makes the point of, it can only mean that Obama had knowledge as well. Makes perfect sense, because Obama's the man who was the most intelligent president. He knew everything. He micromanaged everything. So how did he not know that Clinton's tentacles were everywhere? He must have known. Now, whether he partake as far as helping order this stuff to happen and got them on board, or whether he just stood by pretending not to see. I don't see nothing. It's still guilty. You can't claim stupidity in the act of committing a crime to say you don't know. Well, I guess you can claim it, but it really doesn't mean much. Now, a federal judge. See, this is a headline that was wrong. I'm going to have to fix it. It said a federal judge crushes Obama because the Tea Party groups were unjustly targeted by Obama's IRS, and now they can receive a massive cash award. So, while I agree that the Tea Party groups were unjustly targeted by Obama's IRS because he mobilized them and used them against, like a political arm, as he did with many facets of the government, I agree with that part. But the headline says, federal judge crushes Obama. Now, how is Obama crushed in this? He doesn't care less. He got what he wanted. It helped him win re-election. It stunted some of the growth. And it's not coming out of his pocket. I wish it was. If it was coming out of Obama's pocket, then I would say, yeah, it crushed him. But it doesn't crush him. We're the ones that have to pay for it. We pay for it out of our tax money. So the only people getting crushed is the taxpayer. Hey, here's another $1 billion on your back. Thanks a lot, Obama, for your no smidgen of corruption BS that we've heard about. Now, we know, like I said, just attacking these people with the IRS, making sure they didn't get their needed documentation to raise funds to start groups, to have their voice be heard. Not only did that help him win re-election because it slowed down the opposition, it slowed down the people that were getting annoyed with his bad policies, not only, but some of these groups never became a group. When you're a real estate agent or somebody that works in fields where financials are very important, if you're on the board to start a group and the IRS is coming to you talking about, we need to do some, you can't, that could hurt your career. If you're involved in something that's a problem with the IRS, you back away. So how many groups just pulled their paperwork because they couldn't or didn't want to deal with that? I mean, that's what it is. That's where the bullying comes into play. That's the big bullying. So, more than meets the eye. More than meets the eye. More than meets the eye. That's a familiar slogan. Remember, that was from a TV show. See, the New York Times had a bunch of dopes. It said, they tweeted out, it's rare to see Black and Latino students excel in math. These kids are changing that. Oops, we've deleted an earlier tweet to this article that was poorly phrased. Yeah, it should have had a tweet that New York Times, master of tweets, barely is literate, or something like that. Just show, boom. I mean, is that new chick that they just said, right? It was Times that hired the Sarah Jong hate white people chick. Is she, I don't know, is she in charge of tweets now trying to even it up or what? Who knows? But just pretty stupid. What else can we say? Now, here's what. So a judge, this is probably like a week old, I'd say, but a judge said that the DNC, Democrat National Committee, who is suing the Trump campaign, the Russian government, and WikiLeaks, alleging a massive conspiracy to tilt the 2016 election, funny and ridiculous. Like, can we sue on behalf of Bernie Sanders? Because that actually happened, and we have proof of that. They tilted the election to Hillary. But, okay. Who needs common sense? Now, the DNC has attempted to serve this lawsuit via email, which failed. That's ridiculous. So they're trying to get in touch with WikiLeaks. So they actually a judge let the DNC serve WikiLeaks through Twitter. So they tweeted WikiLeaks, by court order, you're being served with the following legal documents, and then click, 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 document. And all these documents may be found here. I mean, the lawsuit was served through a tweet. That is absolutely ridiculous. To serve a lawsuit through a tweet. Firstly, you know where WikiLeaks is. The guy's trapped. He's trapped. Or I shouldn't say he's trapped, but he's in a safe space, if you're going to call it that. And you can get a letter there, I'm sure. It's not like you couldn't sign for it. I'm sure you can get the government over there to help you out, but he's at an embassy, he's not going anywhere. But the fact that we let a tweet serve as a method of, a judge let a tweet, it's ridiculous. A judge let a tweet be legal representation for serving a lawsuit is absolutely absurd. So, we know how it is for somebody to break into your Twitter and take it over. So somebody could easily done that. Oh, you've been served, but it wasn't you. It was somebody else who knows how to verify. In that case, why don't they just send a letter to your house? And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Or maybe we can serve somebody by having the airplane right in the sky, because you kind of walk that way to go to work or leave work, or you live in that town, so chances are you're going to see it in the sky. Or maybe we put a bag with some poop in it, we ring the doorbell, and we run away. And oh, by the way, there's a letter on that too. We serve them in multiple ways. How ridiculous. It's ridiculous that could actually be a legal precedent, that a judge would let that happen. It's just embarrassing. And I don't care if you can get in touch with them. One, you can. But by way of Twitter is absolutely ridiculous and embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the court system and the justice system. So, anyway, elections tonight, primaries, I should say. But, interesting. In Ohio 12, right? Because Ohio just had an election. There were 170 voters that were older than 116. Of the 170, 124 of them were born in the 1800s. 72 of the 170 people that are over the age of 116 actually voted in the 2016 election. Now, there aren't even that many people, 72 people, over the age of 116 in America that are alive today. And yet, there are 176 in just one little spot of Ohio. Or 170, I'm sorry. Isn't that crazy? Remember the last time too, Ohio is pretty susceptible to this, because I remember when Obama won his re-election, there were actually 3 counties, I believe, in Ohio that had over 100% turnout for voters, which is impossible. But we don't need any voter ID, right? Yeah, when you check in and your ID says, oh, I don't know, you were born in the 1800s, January 1st, like a bunch of these people were. I don't know. I think that something's going on. Voter fraud, it's real. And as somebody says, it's damn real. Anyway, it's time. I think we play a game. Let's play a game, shall we? So here we go. We'll say some phrases, and then we'll match up presidents that fit these phrases. So, record black employment, record black welfare, record black imprisonment. So, what president do we think had record black unemployment? Well, I shouldn't even say we think, because everybody listening to this show obviously is intelligent. But in general, there are people that listen to other shows that might not be as intelligent. So for those people, they probably think record black employment was under Barack Obama. That would be incorrect. They probably think that record black imprisonment would be under President Trump. That would be incorrect. And they probably think that poor Clinton got left off this list and record black welfare is under Donald Trump because he's racist and he's pushing them all the welfare. Sorry, but the record black imprisonment came under Bill Clinton. Not saying it's right or wrong. If you did the crime, come in. If you did the crime, you did the time, right? For record black welfare came under Barack Obama. I think record everybody welfare came under Barack Obama. And record black employment, which would mean you're off the welfare books and employed, that's under current President Donald Trump. So it's kind of weird if he's a racist. He's really failing at that. And that ends that game. Now, what else is there? So, Ronald Reagan once said, socialism only works in two places. Heaven, where they don't need it, and hell, where they already have it. And then Golda Meir was saying that socialism's great until you run out of other people's money. Now, my question on the socialists is, both those quotes are pretty good too, is what have the socialists ever invented? Look at the great inventions of our times. What have the socialists invented? That's what I'm thinking. Little to nothing. All the great breakthroughs and inventions come from capitalistic societies. Even China's learned that, and that's why they try to be capitalistic. Of course, they get stuff by stealing and stuff because, that's the way they want to run their country as well. And it doesn't mean you treat the people well, but as far as business-wise, they're capitalists. Because they know it's better. It's the boom. It's where inventions are made. It's where life can progress. In places where you have true socialism, who's really inventing things or building things? Because it's just going to be stolen by the government. So really, are you going to go out there and risk yourself for the fact that you're not going to get anything from it anyway? Or are you just going to stay in line so you don't get hurt? Stay in that bread line, stay in that salami line, because there's one salami hanging down and one bread hanging down, and maybe it's your turn to get some. Or maybe you have to eat those zoo animals like they do in some of those socialist countries. Who knows? But, now, let's see here. Interesting. For those of you who don't know, and now you will know. There's a guy who was attempting to illegally jump the California border wall, and he broke both of his legs. Now, here's a not so fun fact. The U.S. government typically covers medical expenses for people injured while crossing the U.S. border illegally. Say it ain't so. How about we make a cut from that and we can give somebody else some health care? You break into our country, and I know you're going to say it's inhumane. I'm not saying let somebody die. I'm not saying don't treat them, but they should be getting the bill, and they should be paying that bill. Sorry, but you broke into our country illegally, and you get hurt. I mean, you have to have standards and laws and procedures, and they go across the way, and that's how things stay organized and productive. And imagine, and I know it happens today, which is sad, somebody breaks in your house and they get hurt, and then they're suing you. Yeah, I broke into a safe, and a stick of dynamite blew up and hurt my hand, or I was running out because they were coming home and I tripped on the rug, or I was breaking into their house and walked into their daughter's bedroom and whoop, the dog was in there and he bit me. I think I should sue. Are you kidding me? No, you're not, because this is sadly true. Sadly true. I saw a funny one joke, but it was a, too bad I don't have money, but it was a $20 bill, White House in the back, and it said, Donald Trump lives here. It's pretty funny. I'm sure that gets liberals mad, because liberalism is a mental disorder. Now, next up, right? So we had Alex Jones. It's been pretty quiet on the Alex Jones thing. They've attacked his website and whatnot. But in general, it's funny. Think about the irony of the whole Alex Jones thing. I mean, think about it really. I mean, collusion. We're not even going to talk about collusion because it was collusion. But you have here Alex Jones, who people say, and he'll even admit to it, that he was wild when he was younger. He's somewhat matured, he'll say it himself, but definitely known as the biggest conspiracy theorist. Now, it's not much different, to be honest, to some of the overnight shows like the George Norrie and the Art Bell. They bring people on with weird stories and they ask them questions. And they don't tell you they're against it or don't believe it. They just ask the question. Makes sometimes for entertaining radio. And for Alex Jones, he kind of just went along with it more. I've heard him in hotel rooms screaming they're after me and stuff on the air. Just, it's a shtick. But Alex Jones, known as the biggest conspiracy theorist, the world's most famous conspiracy theorist, and after years of him saying there's massive conspiracy to stop free speech, to stop people like him, what happens? You guys collude to take him off of all the platforms, therefore making his prediction to be a true one. So at the end of the day, you've just validated everything somebody who you say is kooky said was going to happen. And you made him look 100% right. The irony that can only happen through, you guessed it, conspiracy. Oh, well, when will these people learn? Funny one. I hear and I read it, all these people talking about how Trump's tax breaks, they're creating record deficits. Now, firstly, the deficit problem, anybody with a brain knows, is the ludicrous amount of spending, like paying for people who break in here illegally getting hurt and paying for all their medical expenses. Spending problem, eh? Yeah. Now, they say we have record deficits due to the tax breaks. Yet, the only thing the tax breaks would affect is how much money comes in, right? Not how much you spend, so the spending you put aside. So what is coming in is, are we getting so damaged that such little is coming in? No. We're having record tax collection every month since the tax breaks. So we're taking in more money than ever before, and yet somehow these tax breaks are bad for us because we're not bringing in enough money. Huh? What? Yeah, anyways. So One last one before I hit the road. This one is always funny. Bush was so stupid that even Obama couldn't make it better. He couldn't fix Bush's mess during his presidency. And so that's the way it was. I remember that. They're like, well, why isn't things getting better under Obama? Why do things still suck? Because Bush was so bad that even Obama couldn't make it better. The smartest guy in the world. That's how bad Bush was. Okay. Now, even though Trump is so stupid, he can't stop Obama's economic recovery. Isn't that amazing? Obama was so great, he couldn't figure out Bush, but Trump is so stupid, he can't even wreck Obama's economy. Liberalism. As Michael Savage said, and wrote a book about, liberalism is a mental disorder. And that, my friends, is the last of today for our August 14th show. Until next week, thank you for staying tuned to the Reality Check. Tell your friends and family.